Hi, it's Olivia, and today's video is sponsored by procrastination, as my homework is all sitting right there, and this is what I'm doing instead. But this is a very impromptu video. I think that there's a couple of debates and topics that are interesting in the bookish world, and they come up a lot, and I kind of just want to mention them real quick, and really more so that way people can voice their opinions in the comments. And then also, I just had a random thought the other day regarding some young adult trends that I thought was interesting. So that's all this video is. I'm going to start out with what I think is one of the most common debates that I always see recirculate, and people have very strong opinions about it, and that's about whether or not audiobooks are real reading. Like, this one always comes up. I'm not going in depth on these topics, just kind of bringing them up so you guys could also tell me your opinions. But where I stand on this is I'm definitely in that group of people that thinks you're getting the same info. You're getting the same info regardless of the way that you're putting it into your brain, whether it's audio or visual. That's the way I see it. You're getting the story just through a different way, whether it's the audio visual, or even if you are blind and you're using Braille. I wouldn't say that a person who uses Braille isn't reading, but then again, that's just my take on it. I would love to know your thoughts on the discussion of audiobooks and if they're real reading. Another little topic or thing that was on my mind was the idea of liking problematic books, or not purposely liking them, but say that you really enjoyed a book and it's later come out to have issues, or there's some issue with the author. Oh my goodness, did you guys read about the author of The Woman in the Window? I don't even know his name. I just saw it in the news, how he lied about such terrible things. Oh my goodness, that's let me know if you heard about that story. But back to the liking problematic books, it could pose like an awkward situation if you really loved a book, or you just enjoyed it and it later comes out to have issues or something. The way I see it, if you loved a book, you loved it, and it doesn't make you a bad person if it turns out to be problematic or something, because quite honestly, I think just about everything has something problematic you can find. And even if there is a book or movie or something that came out with not a drop of problematic issues, it still came from somewhere. You know, a book comes out from the publishing industry, and the publishing industry is certainly not without its flaws, so it's like there's always something that can be said. I think something that really marks the past few years, and especially with the use of social media, is that people speak up on the issues that they see in like our everyday entertainment, our everyday stuff, and that's just as how things are. People are very vocal about the issues that they see. And so if there's something wrong, chances are it will be called out. My take on this is that I think it comes down to being respectful of one another. I don't think there's any reason to make someone feel bad about reading a book that they enjoyed. So like being respectful of that, but then also being respectful of the fact that someone did find issue with something. So just being respectful all around. Even not even problematic, but you know when like you love something that has a lot of critiques or like a lot of issues. Oh my gosh, I love the live action Transformers movies with all my heart. The first 3 Michael Bay ones. But they have so many issues, you guys. Oh my gosh, they have so many issues. The writing is terrible, but I love those movies so much, and I could acknowledge that. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be black and white. Like, you can say you love something and acknowledge that it's got issues. That's what I think it comes down to. You can do both. The other topic I wanted to mention, can you tell that I was bored while doing my homework? This is what I was thinking about. I was like, what are some juicy bookish things that I can talk about in one video and get people's opinions on. This next one is, what is appropriate in young adult books to you? And I'm speaking specifically on sexual and violent content, because I think that this is just very interesting to look at. I feel like you can't have a discussion about young adult books and not bring up Sarah J. Maas. It's almost impossible. Her name always comes up, but her Throne of Glass books are such an interesting thing to look at from a marketing point, from a publishing standpoint, whatever her writing, because it does something weird where like 4 books in, it changes. It's like if we're looking at young adult ratings, if we're looking at them in like PG-13 versus R, it's like her books went from PG-13 to rated R, like midway through. And I think that that was because also in the middle of that she came out with her other series, which is not, like, it's said that it's not young adult anymore, it's new adult, but it's still put in the young adult sections. But I feel like once they saw how good those other books did, they're kind of like, well, you can just do that content in this other series now. And I guess I'm just curious, what are your thoughts? And like I said, I'm using like PG-13 versus R because, you know, in PG-13 there could still be sexual content, but it's really censored. So, you know, you don't see everything. Things are a little glossed over, but when it's rated R, you know, it's very explicit. And then also with violence, that's something else. Like, something can be so violent, but it's not really considered like you would still allow young readers to read it because it doesn't have sexual content, you know? I mean, how many people read The Hunger Games? It is such a popular book, and it was so violent. And there's other books that are so violent, but if they don't have rated R sexual content, then it's still fine. It's just an interesting thing to look at how sexual content and violent content is handled in books, because if it was a movie, if some of these books that are out were movies, they would absolutely be rated R. Even if just for violent content. Like, there's some really gruesome stuff in like young adult fantasy. But I don't know what I'm getting with this. I don't really know what the final point of this was, just to mention it, you know, so you guys could put in your 2 cents. Moving on to the other thing, young adult trends. This was really just came up because I was sitting the other day thinking, I feel like fairies are the new vampire, or what vampires were to 2009. I mean, maybe they're not as big as vampires were because there's not a movie that's like Twilight level popular that has fae, but it's certainly become more of a thing to have fairies in the book. Really interesting to look at the trends in YA, like what's popular over time. It went through its vampire phase, went through the dystopian phase. What else? What other phases have we gone through? I feel like we're in a fairy phase. I wonder what's next. But it's just how things go. Like, one thing makes it big, and then the publishing industry in Hollywood goes, that's gonna make us money. Then they flood us with that kind of stuff, and then everyone is fatigued from that stuff, and then it's the new trend that comes in, and the cycle repeats. My camera's dying. This is always an issue, but yeah, I would love, I don't know what this video was. I'm going to end it here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye.